So I'd like to welcome everyone today to our discussion about HPE Aruba's SASE solution, their SD-WAN and SSE solution um, with WEI. I'm Todd Humphreys from WEI. And with our discussion at the end of this with Tedy Bruschi, one of the Patriot greats, for those of you who live in the area, we're very excited about it. So we've got a really fun event planned. I'm going to kick it off for a few minutes with some information about WEI, and then I'm going to hand it over to Jamie McDonald from HPE Aruba, who's going to talk about their SASE offering. And then we're going to end with a Q&A with Tedy Bruschi. He's going to talk a little bit about himself and then open it up to questions. Again, Todd Humphreys, I run the cybersecurity program here at WEI. I've been in this industry for a long time, longer than Tedy Bruschi played football. So I will probably know a lot of you folks. And thank you again for coming. In terms of how the company is structured from a technology pillar perspective, I built this slide so I can put cybersecurity first, but it's one of a number of different practice areas here at WEI. And I like to think of the fact that security is intertwined with everything else. Our networking practice that was largely the foundation of the company, the data center and virtualization practice that we're very, very well known for, the cloud solutions that we bring to the table. We've intertwined cybersecurity through all of that. And it's a great discussion with our customers when we know their technology enterprise or estate, and we can also have a security conversation with them. But again, I think the thing that really differentiates us is the people, the number of people, the quality of the people, the certifications that we hold. There's not another technology integrator in this part of the country who can hold a candle to us in that regard. The edge networking practice, as I mentioned on the previous slide, was a real pillar and kind of a foundation of WEI in the past. We've built some of the largest networks, data centers, and wireless environments in this part of the country. Aruba and HPE Aruba has been the key partner for us in those network design efforts. And again, we put names against our engineers. These are some of the best people. If you participate in any Aruba chat groups or up on Reddit at all, you will see these people commonly commenting and offering their insights into the world of HPE Aruba. So a bit about the cybersecurity practice. We could spend an hour talking about this, but I just want to let everyone know that it's a very diverse practice. There are four main pillars. And most relevant to today's discussion is our zero trust and network security pillar. SASE is really consuming most of our time right now. Most of our customers are either evaluating SASE solutions or developing a migration plan or implementing SASE today. We do a lot of work in the area of SOC and incident response. Cloud security grew out of our data center practice. A lot of our data center customers came and asked us to move them to the cloud. And then identity and access management, like security, ties itself around every other project that we do. When we migrate a customer to the cloud, a big chunk of the work that we do is helping them revolutionize or modernize their identity capabilities. So that's it about WEI. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. This is going to be a great session, and I don't want to take up any more of your time. I do want to turn it over to Jamie. Jamie's one of our great partners from HPE Aruba, and he's going to talk to you a bit about, I think we originally built this as SD-WAN, but this is SD-WAN and SSE, which equals SASE. So Jamie, with no further delay, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Todd. And thanks, everyone, for joining today. And my name's Jamie McDonald. I'm with HPE Aruba. I am on the SASE team, which is the security side of the house for HPE Aruba. I know I will say that WI has been just a phenomenal partner for us. We've worked on some super successful projects with a lot of the companies here locally. So by far one of my top partners, and I'm thrilled to be participating in this. So thank you. Just to kind of set the landscape, what we're going to talk about today is, how HPE is going to market and delivering edge to cloud security for our customers. And we'll get into the details on this a little bit. So just kind of setting the stage on this. Obviously, the world has changed. COVID accelerated a whole bunch of the way that people work today. With digital transformation being what it is, The introduction of the past several years of cloud-first IT architecture. More and more companies are moving to cloud-based infrastructure, whether it be Oracle, Azure, AWS, multiple clouds, being able to push those business applications into those cloud environments to accelerate business and productivity for the users. And the last thing on the rung here with the mobile worker, right? The work from home environment we're going to talk about. All of these components has really changed the way networking and security has had to evolve over the past 5 or 10 years. So we're going to talk a little bit about WAN transformation, how we're helping our customers there, as well as security transformation, which comes together. You guys still there? I heard a little beep beep. Maybe that's
Yeah,
somebody
that's
coming
only
in.
Teddy coming into the meeting.
Oh, okay.
So,
Perfect. So we'll get into WAN transformation, security transformation, and how all that comes together in the form of SASE. Just some, three key enterprise networking trends to watch, which we've been seeing over the years. I mentioned multi-cloud, right? More and more companies have got, business applications, cloud infrastructure, and multiple clouds, and the complexities that can bring, the way that things have been set up originally, where you had that core data center, and how we've moved now to the cloud infrastructure. The rising IoT adoption, right? More and more things are connected to the internet. You think about your own house, your phone, your air conditioner, your heater, I mean, your TV, everything's on the internet. And that brings advantages and opportunities, but also comes with risk. The hybrid workplace is the new norm. And, I think COVID obviously accelerated this, but then what I've seen with my customers is, hey, we'd like to have people come into the office 1 or 2 days a week, or whatever it may be. So it truly is a hybrid workplace today that we're in, and that has again forced companies to transform both networking as well as security, which we're going to talk about. And with that comes the SASE adoption. That is the vehicle, the platform that allows company to adjust to these new ways of the way that companies operate. How have we been doing things the last 30 plus years, right? If you look at this slide, it's basically showing, you had a corporate data center. Everybody would come into work, and as long as I was behind the brick and the mortar at the home office, I had security. And back in the day, it was primarily the firewall, right? I had a computer, I'd launch a web browser, I would go out through the firewall, it would do content filtering, you'd have email security, malware security. I'd go up to the website or whatever the application was, I'd come back down, and that traditional security was available to me as long as I was in the office, right? If I went outside of the office, and I remember in the early 2000s when I was started working remote, you had VPN, right? And it was always challenging back then. And it was, even if I launched the web browser, you had Cisco AnyConnect or whatever the VPN provider was, where it'd spin up the VPN. I'd have to backhaul back to the data center to go through that legacy. At the time, it was a lot of appliances, not just the firewall, to get all the security applied, only to go out to the public internet, then to come back through that corporate data center. And then that page would render back to me for whatever I was looking for, whether it was, public websites, or maybe it was private applications, file shares that I was trying to access. It was a tough experience with VPN. And there's a newer way of doing things, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So I think it's pretty well understood that backhauling doesn't provide the best, performance and user experience. The other thing that I would see with the legacy way we did things for 30 days when it came to both networking and network security is inconsistent security policies. And I still see this today, where we'll speak with a customer, and it's like, well, I understand that if I'm behind the corporate firewall, I'm on your network. When I go out to the internet, I launch my web browser, what's the experience? Are there security controls besides the endpoint security that's on that laptop? Oh yeah, you're going to go through the firewall, and it's going to do, your content filtering and everything else. Okay, well, what if I step outside that office, I go down 2 floors to the Starbucks with my laptop, I hop on their Wi-Fi. What happens then when I launch my web browser to go out to the internet? And it still blows me away that a lot of companies like, well, in some cases they may still spin up a VPN where it pushes me back or backhauls me, or in many cases Yeah, it's just kind of like the wild, wild west. You can kind of go anywhere on the internet. Yeah, we have local Windows firewall or we have our endpoint security, but in terms of full-blown data security controls, it's you can go anywhere, right? So I think that is a challenge of the legacy way we've done network security over the years, and really that need to move to more of a SASE based type of a platform. The other component of SASE, which we'll talk about, is the SD-WAN component, right? It's some of the big drivers early on was MPLS. How can I reduce my MPLS spend? I want to be able to make my broadband connections in situations where I can make my broadband perform as if it was a private link, like a private MPLS line. I want to deliver that same quality of experience on broadband as you would get with MPLS. So that's one of the many things that SD-WAN can provide, kind of lowering the cost of where maybe I don't need MPLS in certain areas where I can get away with broadband, but have the same level of service. So we'll talk about that. But this is kind of how things have been, and obviously over the last 5 or 10 years, companies have had to pivot. So here's the then on the left. The enterprise security perimeter is dissolving. This has been happening for years now. As more and more things move to the cloud, more business applications, um, security has to follow the user everywhere, right? And I've heard some people say out in the industry where today's corporate network is the internet today. Everything you go out to, you're going out to the internet to get whatever you might need to do business. But what we're saying is we've got to shift, we've got to change, and SASE allows us to do that with both SD-WAN and SSE. Let security follow the users everywhere because they're working from everywhere. And all the business applications are out in the cloud anyways, whether they're public or private applications. So key benefits of edge to cloud security with SASE, we're able to accelerate digital transformation. You're able to ensure consistent security policies. So like I mentioned, using that example, I'm in my office, I go down to the Starbucks 2 floors below me. I want to have the exact same security no matter whose network I'm on. I want that security to follow the user, and SSE is able to deliver that. And then just enable new ways of working, like we talked about. I'm on a plane, I'm on a hotel, I'm at Starbucks, I'm at home. I want to have that same experience when I'm trying to access things on the network privately, but keep me off the network. And we'll talk a little bit about that. Let's move away from VPN, but I also want to have an incredibly just fast user experience, but still remain secure and have it follow me wherever I go. So unified SASE, what is this? Unified SASE, going back to 2019, the IT analyst firm Gartner coined the term SASE, which is really a combination of SD-WAN paired with SSE. A lot of acronyms, a lot of fun. But basically, it's taking SD-WAN, which some of you, I'm sure there's some customers on the phone that have been using SD-WAN for years and are fully aware of the benefits of why people move there. Some of them being dynamic path selection. We have a lot of law firms, for example. Well, they bill every 10 minutes, and they use VoIP. Yeah, we need to make sure that there's never any packet loss. I don't care what the situation is. We have to deliver the highest quality of service when those phone calls are happening between attorneys and their clients. SD-WAN is a way to ensure that there's never any degradation of quality of service. And to be able to do it with less expensive connectivity, doesn't have to be MPLS anymore. WAN optimization, that's been around for a long time, something we do very well. Companies that maybe do a lot of file transfers, huge file transfers, real estate firms, whatever it may be. Well, you know what? It's not so much reducing cost and bandwidth and the expense there, but it's performance. If I've seen this file 100 times and there's only been a few changes, using WAN optimization would only send across the changes to the file, which makes for a much faster time back to the user so that they can get that file that much quicker. And it's just, again, more of a big performance boost that they get. SaaS acceleration, SD-WAN, we peer with a lot of the different SaaS providers out there, O365, whatever it may be, provide that fastest path to and from that SaaS provider, leveraging SD-WAN to accomplish that. And I won't go through all of these, but flipping over to the security edge side of the coin, which is that other, that second part of of SASE. SD-WAN, or excuse me, ZTNA, Zero Trust Network Access, is by far where I see 75% of the companies that we work with start. It's a great starting place. And what that is that VPN augmentation, or in some cases replacement. I've got one of the big use cases might be contractors, third party. Why in 2025 are we still connecting third party contractors to our network, where they may only need a couple applications to get to a couple times a year? Like, there's got to be an easier way than having to spin up a VPN or ship them out a corporate laptop with our security stack, just so they can get to a couple of applications. So in that case, Zero Trust Network Access Service is a great way to provide application access to that contractor, and we can do it agentlessly, provide them with a URL. There's more to it, but it's pretty easy. They get access to the applications, but they're not touching our network. Connect users to applications, stop connecting users to the network. I get it with legacy VPN. I mean, with VPN concentrators, and you've got policy set up, it's a lot to manage. And it's just a lot there going on. There's just an easier way to do it. And I will note that all of HPE Aruba, 45,000 plus employees, as of February, I no longer use VPN, as well as 45,000 other employees. We strictly use HPE's ZTNA service. So when I go to get to my private applications, I'm not having to figure out which VPN to hit and connect to the network. I just click on what I want, and the experience for me, the way I would describe it is, when I go to access a private application, it's the same experience as if I went to ESPN.com. It should be the same experience, and it is lightning fast. And the thing that's great about it, and not just specific to ours, of course, we have a very good service and we'd love for you to use it. But when you have a very solid ZTNA service, it's a win for the security team, because now they like the fact that they're getting segmentation, and you're reducing that east-west traffic potentially, especially if someone's machine is compromised with malware. So we're mitigating risk by introducing segmentation with ZTNA. And on the flip side, the networking team, which I find tend to own that VPN infrastructure still, they love it because they're getting out of the business of having to manage that whole environment, that VPN environment, and their users are going to be much happier. They're not having as many help desk tickets pop up due to issues with VPN. So I kind of harped on that, but in summary, that is SASE from HPE Aruba as defined by Gartner. I'll pause there. I'm talking a lot. Any questions there, or anything that's popped up in the chat?
Nothing else in the chat. If anybody else has some questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. While we're waiting for that, Jimmy, I had a question, because we run into this a lot. Since SASE dramatically affects how networking is done and how security is done, who owns it? Who tends to make these decisions to transform to a SASE model, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would say there's two pieces. When it comes to SD-WAN, that's still very much a networking function. Networking teams are those that are leading those types of projects and initiatives. When it comes to SSE, the other side of the coin that we're looking at, it really is, I find, a combination of both teams. Because if we focus just on ZTNA, for example, where that usually addresses the big use case of, hey, we want to retire VPN the same way HPE just did for 45,000 people. Well, it's the networking side of the house, network infrastructure, that owns that VPN environment. But the security team is probably going to want to have a say in some of the policies that are going to get enabled once that service is deployed to the enterprise. So yeah, it's kind of a convergence of both, especially when you start adding in SSE.
It makes sense.
Yeah,
we run into it that challenge quite frequently. We tend to have to broker the two teams together pretty often.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
And some of the other acronyms here: CASB, secure web gateway functionality. Just to boil it down, that's content filtering, so that wherever I go on my laptop, I go up to a website, all that north-south traffic is being filtered for malware, for making sure you go to business appropriate places, making sure that I don't take my customer list and upload it to social media. I could put DLP rules to protect that data from leaving the organization, all done with a cloud security service. So that's some of the other components in there. We could spend a couple hours on that if we wanted to, but at a high level. And just a quote here, kind of hammering it home here with Gartner. By 2026, 60% of SD-WAN purchases, a lot of people want to try to move, if they can, to a single vendor for SASE. And with that said, yeah, we have a lot of end-to-end SASE customers. But I will say, for some of you folks that are on the phone that have made investments in Zscaler already, or Palo Alto, Zscaler, we have hundreds of joint SD-WAN, Zscaler SSE customers. So, yes, ideally it can simplify things, lower costs if you can do unified SASE with one vendor. But to say that we don't work with other SSE providers, we do. When it's a good fit, it makes sense. So that, just throwing that out there as a data point. Again, just to kind of bring this to closure here, as I said, HPE networking SSE, it's all cloud, right? There's no hardware deployed with our SSE platform. Unified policy management, I will say that's a differentiator from us as a company, where other SSE providers, not good or bad, it just means that within one console, within one policy, if I want to implement a DLP policy for looking for credit card numbers and social security numbers, and make sure that stuff never moves or leaves the company or that corporate asset, I can create that policy once and have it deployed across all the different little components of an SSE solution, where some of the other vendors, you might have to create it 3 different times in 3 different separate policies. So it's one policy engine across all the different SSE components. The other big thing that I see as an advantage for us is the global POPs that we have. So we basically deploy our cloud security services on all the major cloud providers: Google, Oracle, AWS, Azure. We're out there. So if there's a branch office, you've got users in some remote location in South America, and you want them having cloud security following them everywhere, pretty easy. We're going to be able to spin up an on-ramp for them, so they're going to get the security they need in the cloud. And with Edge Connect SD-WAN, secure SD-WAN, supporting multi-cloud environments, and at the end of the day, you're going to have improved, quality of experience for those users. Kind of bringing this down, I've got a couple more slides here. Some of the key use cases, we talked about it. I want to make my broadband perform like it's MPLS, but I want to do it for 1/10 the cost. It's one of the use cases for SD-WAN. I want to get more with these less expensive connections. I want to have the best quality of service while minimizing the expense. Be able to support cloud-first organizations. As more and more stuff is being moved to the cloud, I need to be able to support that, and SASE allows you to be able to do that. We find replace branch firewalls and routers. Is our SD-WAN technology a great replacement for a data center firewall? No, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you've got a bunch of branches out there that you're spending a lot of money on, firewalls, well, we're a full, stateful firewall with our SD-WAN appliances. Stick in a much less expensive SD-WAN appliance with all the firewall capabilities, because you have 5 or 10 users in that branch office. You don't have applications out there. They're out in the cloud. So there's an opportunity there as well to consolidate the number of firewalls and routers you have out there. And then again, to secure IoT devices. So this is it. Last slide. To kind of wrap things up, the benefits of HPE Aruba Networking Edge to Cloud Security. Security is, let's mitigate the risk and attack surface and exposure. Whether they're remote or on-prem, we're mitigating risk because that corporate asset is always going to be secure no matter where the user is. Enforce least privilege access. Protect against ransomware. So no matter where they are, we're protecting against ransomware above and beyond what's happening with that endpoint security, like a CrowdStrike. Great company. Uncover shadow IT. What kind of SaaS applications are out there? Are there some that are putting us at risk? I don't know if I can't see it. provide visibility into shadow IT, and prevent data loss, like I mentioned, the credit card, social security numbers, customer lists, new projects that are happening. I don't want that information leaving that corporate endpoint just because the person left the office and now it's the wild west, right? SASE is going to be able to deliver that security for you. Productivity, we talked about that. I want to provide an eloquent, fast user experience for my users trying to get to private applications. Make private application access the same as if someone's trying to go to that website, ESPN or whatever it might be, right? And that's what we're able to deliver with SASE. Administration, just make it an easier experience for administrators to not have to maintain that whole VPN infrastructure, that stack of security appliances. Let's just put it in the cloud, one platform, make it easy, right? And then simplicity at the end of this. You've got unified network and security functions across the board, all in the cloud. And with that, you're going to, of course, you're going to reduce the expense that you're paying just because you don't have all these point solutions out there for security. Let's try to standardize to one cloud security platform. And, in combination, SASE is going to give you that with both SD-WAN and SSE combined. So unless there's questions, that's all I had today. I just want to say thank you to all of you out there that are listening. And now to get into the fun part of the afternoon, evening. So I'll turn it back over to Todd. And
just one comment from WEI's perspective. One of the beauties of SASE is since it's a network and cloud delivered, or networking and security delivered via the cloud, you never have to worry about planning for worst case capacity situations again. If you're a SASE customer and your needs expand, it's elastic. It expands with you. And you have to go rebuy new gear and go, I should have bought bigger firewalls, bigger routers. It's a service. So as any service you'd expect, it will grow as your needs grow, which is wonderful. And plugging in other modules is very, very simple as well. Awesome. Jamie, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
That was great. You're a great partner of ours, and WI would probably
same
be
here.
the company we are without HPE. We're going to make a bit of a hard shift here, and really, really excited to make an introduction. I got to say, I'm a tiny bit nervous and starstruck about this. It's my pleasure to introduce a person who probably doesn't need an introduction here in New England. I'm a guy who transcends really Boston sports and Patriots football. He's done a lot more than just that. But Tedy Bruschi, as most of you know, he's been a leader both on the field. I went and watched a bunch of Tedy highlight videos today, to be honest. It didn't work very hard. It was very exciting. But, Tedy, your career after the Patriots has been really remarkable, and something that's probably touched a lot of lives as well. For those of you who don't know, Tedy is a stroke survivor and started an organization called Tedy's Team to kind of shine a light on symptoms of stroke, the causes, prevention, how to help people recover. I get a little choked up because my mom passed away from a stroke a number of years ago, and I love what you do, and I really hope you keep it up, and I hope we learn a little bit more about your program and your team. And I know they all ran in the marathon this weekend. So I don't want to keep talking, but I do want to turn it over to Tedy Bruschi, former Patriots linebacker, 3-time Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler, NFL analyst, stroke survivor, and Tedy Bruschi. Thanks for joining us.
You can see me now.
We can see you now.
Okay, here I am.
All right. Welcome.
This isn't the usual Zoom that I'm used to, I guess. So I apologize, everyone. I was sort of excited for this conversation to be today because the NFL draft is today, and there's a lot of excitement in the NFL, and especially for the New England Patriots. I don't know how many Patriots fans are out there, but I saw someone commented about someone's wearing their Arizona 68 jersey, so I appreciate that. I went to the University of Arizona in Tucson, Arizona, originally from San Francisco, California. Went down to Tucson for college and got drafted by the New England Patriots, and I've been out here ever since. So it's something that I've been proud to play on good teams where we won championships, and of course, the fact that we just had the Boston Marathon for Tedy's team. Thank you for bringing that up, Todd. A big day for our foundation in terms of we had stroke survivors, caregivers, raised a lot of money for stroke and heart disease. So it's something we're really proud of.
Awesome. How did the team do?
They did good. Everybody finished. We had 60 runners. We had a walker at the end. He had some injuries on the course, but we stayed out there and waited for him and cheered him on in the street until you got the street cleaners coming by, and but we still wait for all our runners. Everybody finished. We were right there on Boylston and Exeter at the Lenox Hotel, and little post-race reception for everybody. But they did great and raised a lot of money.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about Tedy's team, and obviously, you got a personal experience here that probably motivated you to start the program.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear more about the charity, what you guys do, because I think it hits very close to home for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm a 2-time stroke survivor. Actually, it was 2005 where I had my first stroke. It was after our third championship, my first Pro Bowl. I got home from Hawaii, and about a day and a half later, I woke up in the middle of the night with a severe unexplained headache, loss of vision in the left field of both of my eyes, and I had numbness down the left side of my body. And now these are your classic warning signs of a stroke. However, I didn't know those were the warning signs of a stroke. And me being part of the New England Patriots and the National Football League, coached by Bill Belichick, always feeling like you're supposed to be prepared for everything, I didn't know what was happening to me. So that is probably the biggest disappointment I had in myself, is that I didn't know what was going on with myself medically. So forming Tedy's team, probably the biggest thing we do is we have awareness campaigns, and we promote the warning signs of stroke, which is the acronym BFAST, going over a presentation that I just watched you guys with a lot of acronyms. So we have an acronym ourselves. It's BFAST, BEFAST. B is for balance difficulties, E is for eyesight changes, F is for facial droop, A is for arm weakness, S is for slurred speech. And you get those symptoms, a combination of those, it's T, it's time to call 911. Over the course of my 2 strokes, I experienced every one of those warning signs. And, just to get the knowledge out, the awareness out, is something that we are really strong about. We have comeback assistance programs. We sponsor rehabilitation services. We've partnered with Massachusetts General Hospital for a center of excellence in stroke recovery. We do a lot of things for stroke and heart survivors, and it's something that 20 years now we've been doing that. And it's something I've just sort of embraced as being a stroke survivor, a 2-time stroke survivor, that I'm proud to say. It's hard for people sometimes to, embrace probably the most difficult thing that they've ever experienced.
Right.
It took me a little while, Todd. It took me a little while, but I've been there for a little while, and I help people come to grips with being stroke and heart survivors.
Got it. How much has been done on the detection prevention side? Is there much you can do when it comes to stroke to know that you're at risk, things you can do to prevent? Have you guys worked on any of that?
We have funded research programs. The whole thing about a stroke is there has been progress in terms of what can be done. If the warning signs are recognized, it used to be within a 3-hour window, you get to the hospital, you can be administered TPA, which is called tissue plasminogen activator, and it can reverse the effects of an ischemic stroke. And now that's been extended to a 4-hour window. So that's where progress has been made with medications and awareness and the way that hospitals handle people coming in with warning signs. And a big thing is this: a lot of stroke survivors talk to me and they say, the doctor told me I was having a migraine. The doctor told me that, I was having vertigo or something like that. Just that self-advocating for themselves. If you know what you think is happening to you and they tell you that it's something else and you believe that it's a stroke, it's like, no, this is what I think it is. If you have that knowledge, you're going you're going to, have some type of confrontation with the doctor about, no, I disagree. I think I'm having a stroke because I know the warning signs. So if you have that knowledge, you can take that step. But definitely, I mean, having the awareness is the number one key.
Awesome. I hope everyone's listening to this. I understand be fast now. Guys, the chat is open. If other folks, I could talk all day long here. But if other folks want to ask some questions, please jump in and we will open your mic up.
Yeah, and if just anything I wanted to say about how there are a few things you can do to get to know someone really well, in my opinion. Okay, let's just sort of jovial here. How do you take your coffee? All right, that says a lot about somebody. Okay, what's your favorite kind of pizza? All right, and then your favorite football team. So you ask your question. Please tell me your favorite football team. Todd, I believe you are a Patriots fan, correct? Okay. So give me your favorite football team and tell me your question, and maybe we can talk Eagles, Cowboys, Vikings, anything. So I welcome all questions.
Well, we'll let the shy people, some people will chime in here, I'm sure. We did get some questions in advance as well. A bunch of people said, ask him what his predictions are for the draft. Like, what are the Patriots going to do here?
Right.
Because everyone's nervous.
Okay, sure. I think that we're in a great spot. I mean, although we sort of blew it the last week of the season, and we could have had the number 1 overall pick if we'd have lost that game. But of course, we go ahead and win the game and we get the 4th overall pick. So who's going to drop to us, basically? I mean, I think I talked to Mike Vrabel a few weeks ago. He, of course, wants the best player that's there. And does Travis Hunter drop because somebody else is quarterback desperate? I think that'd be great. The Campbell kid, the offensive tackle, Graham, the defensive tackle out of Michigan. Those are 3 names that you can't go wrong with. I don't know if the edge rusher from Penn State's going to drop to us, but I think guaranteed we're getting a good football player, and we have the luxury now to just pick the best football player that's going to be best for our culture and our football team, because we've got our quarterback. And yes. I think we're all very excited about Drake May, and I am too. And so is, Mike Vrabel and the coaching staff. So we can just build around him. It's something I'm very, very excited about.
That's great. How's the receiving core looking this year?
Not great. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we don't have Justin Jefferson out there or Jamar Chase out there or anything like that, but you can't have it all in 1 year. And the quarterback does have to make those positions better. But the one thing I believe is that the quarterback can't even start to make those positions better and make a wide receiver better if he's on his back and he's being pressured all the time. So, I mean, the best you can protect him, of course, you can see I'm leaning towards offensive line, which is what I hope they do, because it's just going to help Drake May. And Vrabel's strength is coaching defense and the good coaching and some of the free agents, of course, and the 2nd round picks or whoever he gets can also help. But I'd really love for them to get the Campbell kid, the offensive lineman.
Awesome. Good deal. We did get some questions about, people want to know about you and your Super Bowl and, your playing experience, but some Super Bowl memories. You got any good, really great memories? You probably have a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I got a lot of great memories involving Super Bowls. I guess it's draft night, so I guess I should share my draft story.
Yeah.
I was in Tucson, Arizona, and I wasn't one of the guys that got to go to New York or anything like that, and I actually got drafted by the bottom line. Do you know when you're watching ESPN and the little bottom line, the ticker that's going down constantly, there's something flashing, the news is going on the bottom line. And so during the draft back then, they would go through all the picks, and when a pick would come across, what pick would be selected, it would flash on the bottom line and it would tell you who was picked, and then it would go back. And I was the 86th overall pick, so we got tired of watching the draft on the first day, because that's when the first 3 rounds were done in the first day. So we're all in my apartment in Tucson, and no one's paying attention to the TV anymore. And I just walked by the TV and I saw it flash, and it said the 86th pick by the New England Patriots, Tedy Bruschi, defensive lineman from the University of Arizona, and it disappeared. And I didn't know if I saw it or not, because then it went back to the picks and again all the way around and all the way around. But it started again at 1-2, but it was going to take forever to get to 86. So I'm like, I told everyone, I think I just got drafted by the New England Patriots.
Right.
And they said, what? I said, yeah, I think I saw it on the TV. And then the phone rang. And I was like, geez, we picked it up and it was Bill Parcells on the other line. So Bill Parcells, who's going into the Patriots Hall of Fame this year, actually was the head coach back then. And he says, Tedy, we're going to play at linebacker and special teams. And here's Al Groh. He passed the phone off to Al Groh, the position coach, before I could say anything. And so I talked a little bit to Al Groh, and who was the linebacker coach and the defensive coordinator. So then I hung up the phone, and everyone was just on eggshells, like, what they say. And I said, well, yes, I was drafted by the New England Patriots, and they want me to play linebacker. And everybody was very excited, but I wasn't, because they said, what's wrong? My family. And I said, I don't know how to play linebacker. So I had never played linebacker before, Todd. And it was like, so, okay, I have to learn everything from scratch. And that's how I was like my rookie year, just learning how to play a new position.
They must have seen something in you. Obviously, they knew you could do this, but.
Yeah, I mean, they did their evaluations, athletic ability and all that stuff, I guess, but I had never gone backwards in my college career. I was always rushing the passer. I mean, I set the NCAA record for career sacks with 52 career sacks, and I was always going forward. I don't know how they thought that I had the ability to, drop back in coverage. So it took a few years. Like the first year, I really just played defensive line and special teams. I ended up sacking Brett Favre in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 31 versus in the Packers that we lost. Yeah. But I was playing defensive line. So Bill Parcells left after my first season, and then Pete Carroll came. And he was the head coach for 3 years. And really, Pete Carroll is the one, his staff, where I learned how to play linebacker. And then, of course, Bill Belichick came in, and he came in and taught me how to win championships. So everything worked out pretty well.
Nice. How is Bill Parcells? Is he still around? Is he still active in the league?
He's he'll text me after he sees me on TV and joke with me. And I was very lucky to have Bill Parcells lay my football foundation, because he was old school. I mean, if you went, I was talking with my son last night. If you go out, you're out on the field and you go down because of an injury, he'll hold back the trainers from going out there. Why? Because he wants to see if you'll get up yourself first. I mean, the trainers run out there immediately. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm hurt. Take me off the field. And you really don't think about if you're hurt or not, So that's the first time I saw that. So toughness, character, discipline, everything was taught to me my rookie year.
Gotcha. Well, I have to admit, I grew up a Giants fan when I was a little kid. My grandfather's a big Giants guy, so I knew Parcells.
Yeah, it's strange because it's weird that I think the Patriots and Giants are almost like cousin organizations, really, because of, Belichick and Parcells coming from there. Coughlin had background with Parcells, and they're the ones that ended up beat us in the Super Bowl. It was just so much intertwining of organizations and people that have been within them and the coaching staffs.
Awesome. Hey, we do have, it's not really a question, but a gentleman on the chat named Glenn Cameron is talking about when he was at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, when you were playing for the Wildcats, and he's basically saying that he's the earliest Tedy Bruschi fan on this call, I have to say. So, Glenn, is there anything you want to say while we got you on the phone? We can unmute you.
Yeah, thank you for that. Hey, Tedy, just a thrill talking to you. Actually, early when my daughter was born in 2005, my wife sent a photo of my daughter and myself wearing Bruschi jerseys at her first Patriots game, and you signed it and returned it to us. I have it framed in my office here.
Oh, that's cool. Well, thank you. And you were at Fort Huachuca?
I was, yeah. And I actually have some great memories of watching you play in Arizona. Just just basically getting blocked to the ground and crawling on all fours and making a sack. It was just amazing.
Those are those old Desert Swarm days. So,
Yeah.
man, you've been with me a long time. I appreciate it. And I mean, if it's from Arizona to New England to hopefully ESPN, you watch the show on Sundays. It's been quite a ride.
Yeah. Yep. Actually, I learned that you got drafted by the Patriots. I was in Korea, and I was reading the draft coverage in the Stars and Stripes, and my team probably thought I lost my mind. I'm like, woohoo, Bruschi. They're like, who? Oh, you'll see.
Yeah. But really, when I was drafted by the New England Patriots, my girlfriend, who then ended up becoming my wife, she was like, "Where is that?" I mean, we're West Coast people in New England. How far are we going? It was
Cool.
People would always ask me, where do you want to go? Well, I hopefully it's close. I don't know. I didn't care where I went, but now here I am still in New England because I've been here so long. ESPN's a New England company. They're based out of Connecticut, and I've had a great career with them, and my sons now have been raised. I've raised 3 New Englanders, which has been very, very good. It's a wonderful area.
Are they all Patriots fans?
Oh yeah, Patriots, Celtics, Bruins. I mean, my sons are big time Celtics fans too. So we're watching the playoffs with a great interest.
Very cool. Glenn, where are you located? Are you a Massachusetts guy now?
Yeah, I'm in Wilmington, Mass.
Awesome.
Grew up here and returned here.
All right.
So it's interesting. You mentioned your kids. Kathy Maxwell asked the question: are any of your kids playing football?
2 of my sons played football through high school. One of them played some collegiately, and I actually got to coach both of them in high school, which was an absolute joy seeing them go through multiple football seasons, the highs and lows, and how they approached it as young men. I really feel like you learn a lot about yourself through an athletic season, no matter what the sport, no matter what sport it is. I mean, anything, male, female, I mean, through the ups and downs, wins and losses, you can get hurt and have an injury, and how you deal with teammates, how you deal with people. I think it's really, you learn a lot. And for me to be able to coach and see my sons and how they handled it, it was an absolute joy and honor to do that.
Awesome. And they were at Bishop Feian, right?
They were.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in Franklin, so half the town goes to Feian.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Can we unmute Glenn?
Yeah, just a little context for the question, because I have a worker, I have a team member who just had a stroke, a major stroke last week, and it's not looking good. It's not looking good for him. Of course, I'm praying for recovery. He got to the hospital quickly, got treated quickly, but it's he's in ICU. But it got me thinking, having you on the call here, just wondering, and I'm hoping this becomes a decision point for him. I hope he gets to the point where he can make this decision. But I remember after you had your stroke thinking, wow, that's got to take a lot of courage. It had to have been a really hard decision to decide to get back onto the playing field. What was that like?
Yeah, that's a great sort of jumping off point there about, coming back from adversity, I guess. That stroke, I thought, took my career away in terms of the National Football League, and I thought I was done. I mean, I retired. I actually went in to see Bill Belichick and told him that I couldn't see at the time. My wife had to drive me to the stadium, and they also told me that we had to put a device in my heart to close a hole. And so how does someone ever come back from that? I asked my doctor, I said, can I have the number of the guy that's done this before so I can ask him all the questions that I've asked and that I have? And he said, well, Tedy, you'd be the first. And I didn't know if I wanted to do it. I didn't know if I wanted to do it. My wife was definitely trying to pump the brakes on the comeback because, of course, coming back from a stroke, a heart surgery, a heart procedure, and then, going back to play in the National Football League had never happened before. So it was a lot of the unknown. And when we all go through things and that we've never gone through before, all of it is unknown and you really don't know. I mean, I just knew that 5, 10 years down the road, if I didn't give it a shot, I would really regret it. So we did everything we could in terms of like medical opinions, physicals, making sure that doctors said it was okay. And really mentally, it was about, can we handle it as a husband and a wife? Because it wasn't just me, it was my wife and my 3 kids. So there was a lot going on in terms of my life to come back and play in the National Football League. And I was just so lucky I was able to complete the comeback. And it was 4 more seasons that I played. And now I'm able to talk to a lot of stroke survivors that are athletes that are also going through similar mental struggles or physical struggles that I had to come back and play their sport. And it's been something of an honor for myself to be able to provide that type of resource. I saw somebody mention in the chat that their favorite game was the Snow Bowl game. And well, there were 2 of them really. I think there's the Raider game where the Vinatieri kick, and then there's the Miami game. So I don't know which one would be referenced there, but they were both like so iconic in terms of games because it was that interception in the snow when I intercepted Jay Fiedler. I had Ricky Williams in man-to-man coverage, and I was just following Ricky, and Ricky stayed in to protect for pass protection, and then he ended up right in front of the quarterback, and I looked to Fiedler, and they were trying to run a slant behind me, and then there was the ball, and then I ran like 5-7 yards for a touchdown, and then everybody that got to the stadium, because a lot of people never even made it to the game because the roads were so bad, ended up throwing snow in the air to coordinated with the music that they were playing, and it was like one of the best memories I ever had. And then, Mike Vrabel, who was my teammate at that point, came up to me and looked me right in the face and said, "Look what you did." And it was just so cool in terms of seeing the whole stadium throw snow in the air. And of course, I think the biggest games are never remembered unless you win a championship during that season. So we ended up winning the championship in that season. So snow was always good luck for us, especially on the way to a championship. And we did that, of course, in 2001 also. Yeah.
That picture has got to be the most iconic if you throwing snow up. That's on everybody's wall and everybody's office. So,
Yeah, it's amazing that people will still talk to me about that play, about that picture, about that moment. And a lot of them have a story about, I made it to the stadium and my father never made it because he was in a different car, but he listened to it on the radio because he couldn't get there because of the parking lot. There was nowhere to park, and people were sitting on snowbanks. It was dangerous, but it was fun.
Nice. Hey, so we have to unmute Ann Virtue, and I'm going to put you on the spot because I think you asked one of the more classic questions here. Ann, would you like to ask your question?
And make sure Ann tells me her favorite football team.
Oh yeah, favorite football team. How you like your iced tea, right, Ann?
No, just the football team's good.
So my favorite football team. Hello, Teddy. My favorite football team is, of course, the Patriots.
Okay, good.
And same as Todd, when I was really little, my dad was a big Giants fan because we're from Connecticut. So I've had the history of both coaches. And my favorite pizza is margarita. And no coffee, only with alcohol in it. So that's only in the evening at special events. So my question is, has Danny Amendola tried to recruit you for Dancing with the Stars?
Oh, funny story about Danny Amendola. I'm in New Orleans and I'm going across the street to the Caesars Casino to get some dinner at the sushi restaurant there, Nobu. And waiting in line, ended up right next to me was Danny Amendola. So Danny and I had dinner together at the Super Bowl, and he talked to me all about Dancing with the Stars, and he told me how great of an experience it was. I mean, he said he loved it. I guess he went pretty far, and the kid, of course, Danny's a handsome guy. One of those little receivers that got, I don't know, I never saw him dance on the show, but I heard he did a great job. So So we got to talk and spend some time. And I would say it's not in my plans to do Dancing with the Stars or anything like that. But then I have run 3 Boston marathons, and Danny Amendola said, yeah, that's not in my plans either. So he's got his skills and I've got mine.
Well, that's right. You look in great shape. I thought you could easily do it. Thank you for answering my question.
Thanks for being here, Ann. All right.
And Tad Grunwald has a question for you. Do we unmute Tad?
Oh, okay, there we go. She just gave me the mic back.
There you go.
Hey, Teddy, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Tad.
My question was, okay, so first off, coffee black.
Okay.
Plain pie, extra crispy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Only way to go.
I'm telling you, we just you and I are the same. It's a good cheese pizza and then
Yep.
it's hot black coffee. Yes.
And I grew up in the Midwest, so I didn't grow up in the Northeast, but I ended up moving my family, raised my kids in the Northeast. First time I went to order a pizza, I asked for a pizza with cheese. He goes, extra cheese? I'm like, no, just cheese. You mean plain? Well, no, I want cheese on it. And it went back and forth because I had no idea how that whole thing worked out there. So it was kind of funny at the time.
All right.
But my question was,
so in the Midwest, in the Midwest, is that go Packers or is that?
I grew up in Chicago, so
okay.
I'm still living off the '85 Bears, which unfortunately was a loss for the Patriots. But
yes, you are. Yes.
I'm still living off of that team because we haven't had a team like that ever since.
Yeah, hopefully Caleb can get a little bit better. They improved the offensive line in the offseason greatly. So, I mean, getting Johnson from Detroit. I mean, that's big. That's big. So, you guys should up and up. Yeah.
Been a tough place to go for quarterbacks.
Yes, it has. And man, Jalen, I mean, the kid in Washington sure did have a great year too. So,
it's going to be interesting to watch. They're due. There's no doubt about it. So we'll see where that goes. Who did you idolize growing up in the NFL? Who was kind of your idol?
Let's see, which is strange. I grew up in San Francisco, California, and I ended up being a Cowboys fan for some reason. The Cowboys were good during that time. I mean, I was born in '73, so the '80s, '90s. I mean, those Cowboys teams, I followed them through college. So, I mean, but idolized growing up. You know, my mom always told me a story about Dick Butkus and how when she would watch Dick Butkus play while she was pregnant with me, I would always move.
That's pretty funny.
And that's a story she told me so often that, yeah, that guy, you always loved it when I watched that guy for the team out of Chicago. I don't know his name, but something or something like that. And she wasn't a big football fan. So it was always something that I thought was cool because I ended up playing linebacker, but I didn't really idolize players growing up. Like I said, Cowboys teams and, I was really didn't know about football and play organized football until I was a freshman in high school. Which is, I'm really the story that, I mean, I walked into freshman orientation, Tad, and I saw a couple guys that I knew from 8th grade, and I walked over to them and I sat down next to them, and they had cleats in a cooler down by their feet. And I said, "What are those for?" And they said, "We're going to go try out for the football team. You should come." And so I went, and that's how I started playing football, which is strange, I know, but it sort of fell into my lap.
Now, what sports did you play then as a youth?
As a youth, okay, young youth, soccer, those little. Okay. That's it. Not much there. But when I got to high school, it was football. It was did some track. Wasn't really a basketball player or anything like that. But I grew up in the boys' choir and playing in the band, actually.
Okay.
So my freshman sophomore year in high school, I would play freshman and JV football, and then I would get in my band uniform and play for the varsity band, my alto saxophone in the marching band. And so,
very cool.
Yeah, my mom really encouraged choir, the church choir, and music before football. So,
All right.
yeah. Sometimes
Now, do you still play?
I do. I just played my sax just about a couple weeks ago. I still mess around a little bit with it. So it's
Okay.
a skill that I've always wanted to hold on to. So, yeah.
Did you instill that in your boys also then?
They did start with piano lessons and learning music. And then now that piano is not cool for a boy to play, I guess, you know, so they moved over to the guitar. So they'll play some guitar and, you know, they love doing that. And so they do know music.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you play an instrument?
I do not. And it was something I wish I had been forced to. It was one of the rules we had in our house. If you did a sport, you had to do an art. If you did an art, you had to do a sport. So I had a daughter that was all arts, did choral, singing, all that kind of stuff, and a son that was all sports. They both ended up doing the other. My son to this day still plays piano, plays guitar. His first night at college, he was at a party and started playing the piano, and everybody gathered around and started singing songs. And he came back to me the next morning and said it was the coolest thing that he ever did, and thanked me that I forced him to do it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So no, I think I'm big on just kind of a balance.
Yeah, well-rounded, as my mom would say.
Yep.
Yes, to be well-rounded. So, well, hey, the Chicago Bears pick number 10, I think, in the first round. So I'm looking at it right here. The Bears will pick 10, and maybe they'll get somebody to help them out on defense.
We're hoping.
So Glenn seems to remember that you played sax at Symphony Hall at one point. Is that true?
Well, I did. I played there with the Longy School of Music. Yes, it was a benefit for them, and that was in Symphony Hall. So it was a jazz tune. It was a quintet. It was a quintet that I played, and it really got me back into my sax. So it was a lot of fun for me. It was nerve-wracking, really. I was like, I can't believe I'm going to do this. Going out here with the Longy School of Music is a pretty good school in the Boston area. So it was fun for me to get that going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good deal. So you're at ESPN, Tom Brady's over at Fox. Any little professional competition going on here? Or?
Not competition, because Tom calls games, which is a lot different than me, because I'm an analyst in studio pregame. But Tom and I talk, often throughout the course of the year, and just we'll talk about various teams. And I think Tom did a lot of prep getting ready to do that last season, and he wanted to get as much information as he could. And we talked a lot about, his job coming up, and, he really does care about how he does for that job, and he puts in a lot of work. So, that's live, that's reactive, everybody's on every word that you say, and half of them, if you're favoring one team, they don't like you, and then vice versa, it's the other way. So that's the way it goes in the business. For me, I have to predict them and say who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's not, who isn't playing well, and sometimes, being critical, even on when it was my old coach, Bill Belichick during his last season, it was hard. It's hard to do, but Bill always taught me to do my job, and my job now is to, talk about the NFL honestly.
Right, that's great. You do a great job.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks.
Stephen Paquette has just raised his hand too. If we can unmute Stephen, I think you might have a question.
Hi, Teddy. Steve Paquette here.
Hi, Steve.
Favorite team is New England. Big, long-time New England fan. Ups and downs. Started out in the 80s and then had that great run. My question would be, and coffee would be black. Have 1 cup a day. My question to you would be, what's your opinion on nil in the NCAA and how it's going to affect players?
Yeah, NIL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is
crazy, isn't it?
It is an avalanche going downhill. Okay, that's what I say. Oh, flag football. That's a great question too. It's an avalanche going downhill about the NIL. I don't know how colleges can continue to compete. It's going to be these major conferences that are forming. It's almost like there's, even though they're calling them the Big 10, the Big 12, all these SECs and all this stuff, it's going to be major conferences, and then that's it. And whoever has the most to pay the player, how do you figure out some type of salary cap? And how do you hold kids to a contract that they just can't leave whenever they want?
Chase money, yeah.
That's the one thing. Okay, you want to get paid and you want to make $1 million a year. I'm okay with that, but let's do it for 2 years. 2-year contract where they have to put their name on a document, and then they have to commit. They have to commit to that university. I was about to call it an organization. It's almost like an organization now, okay? You have to commit to that university for 2 years, and that could help a lot of things. Now, is the NIL good? Possibly, because, I mean, you got kids now, almost the college football program in general, expanding to 12 playoff teams. Now there is more money for kids, and then with the 12 playoff teams, you'll get less kids opting out of bowl games, and you'll have more participation. It's there to be fixed. I think it's good that they get paid, but I still think there are some things that need to happen, like the contract, like more of a commitment for the player, just not having the easy way out. That's what has to be fixed, in my opinion.
Thank you. That was good. Good answer.
Thanks.
Yeah, so can we unmute Kathy, because Kathy wants to know about flag football?
Yeah, Kathy, go ahead.
Hey, Teddy. Great to meet you. Huge fan ever since, I don't even know, 2000 when I started watching.
Okay.
With my husband.
Patriot fan. All right.
And I am a Hawaiian pizza girl and no coffee.
Oh, the Hawaiian pizza is one that is up. That is a controversial topic.
I know.
Because there is a faction of people that believe fruit should not be on pizza.
I know.
I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them. I like Hawaiian pizza actually, but I'm just saying that's a different choice. So I respect that.
Yeah, awesome. So I know one of the little kids in my neighborhood is a huge flag football player, and he just loves it. And I know it just got introduced as a sport for some of the high schools in the area. I don't know much about it, but I just thought it was a great question. Could you see that replacing tackle?
How old is that person?
Oh, the little kid across the street. He's
okay.
9.
Okay, it's a boy. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Oh, flag football is amazing. I actually went to Canton, Ohio last summer, and I called the flag football national championships for the 15 and under boys. There were 15 and under boys, and there were 18 and under girls, because when boys get to be 14, 15, the automatic progression, the understood progression is that then they get a pair of shoulder pads and they end up playing contact sports, so they're ready to go. But flag football for boys teaches the skill of running, throwing, catching, moving your feet in space. I absolutely love flag football for boys. I had all 3 of my boys in it. They absolutely loved it. 2 of them took it on to play competitive contact football. But where flag football's future is with females, because they can play all the way through 18. And right now they are offering actual college scholarships to girls to play flag football in college. It is becoming that competitive. And judging by the girls that were playing last year in Canton, these girls can throw, they can catch, they are fantastic players. I think it's a great sport all around for boys to develop and girls to have their piece. And so I just hope it continues to get bigger and bigger, because the Olympics also now are getting into flag football, and it's something that's just very exciting for everyone.
Cool. Hey, so what's your favorite pizza, and where do you get it?
Oh, wow, that is hard.
I'm not trying to do a Dave Portnoy on you, but
Yeah. I would say, my favorite cheese pizza. The best cheese pizza I got was this place called Kesty in the financial district in New York.
Oh, really? Okay.
It was in New York because, I mean, also great pizza in Connecticut. Oh, look, somebody just said Pepe's.
Yeah, but now we're going to get the
Pepe's
Modern and Sally's argument,
No,
right?
no, I haven't been to Sally's, so I don't know. But Pepe's, I know about Pepe's because when I was at Arizona, I was a Walter Camp All-American. And they fly you to Connecticut for the award ceremony. And my host took me to Pepe's, and I was like, this is the best freaking pizza I've ever had. I thought it was fantastic. So I guess the last time I had Pepe's pizza was also, is it the Mohegan Sun?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's in the Mohegan Sun. And I was down there for a fishing show. There was a fishing show down there that I went to because I love going to fishing shows and just looking at stuff. So I was there for that there, and we went to Pepe's. Oh, I love that pizza. Yes, great. Definitely.
You got to try Sally's though. I'm sorry, I'm biased.
Okay, I will. But definitely, I know Connecticut pizza. I know New York pizza. But yes, absolutely. All right. Pepe's pizza in here. That's great.
We were hoping it was going to be something in Massachusetts, but that's okay.
Oh, Kathy wants to know where I fish. Okay. She's a grand pizza girl. Ann is. Okay. Where do I fish? Well, today I just fished in Rentham, and I caught a nice bass. Yeah, I caught like almost a 3-pound bass on my kayak. I'll go out on my kayak a lot. I also like to fish in saltwater, go for stripers and bluefish and things like that. But I'll surf cast also. I mean, guys, I do so much fishing. I just love it. I just love to fish. So, and what helps is my son loves it too, my youngest son. So I went out with him today, and it's just a blast. It's a blast. Yeah. Do you fish, Todd?
I used to a lot. I used to go on canoe trips up in Canada and do a ton of fishing up there, but not lately.
Yeah, I heard the Connecticut River's good. I've never. Yeah. Some stripers up there. No, what is that river up there? It's called it's got an Indian name. I forget the name, but
whereabouts?
Yeah, there's I'm not sure. There's good fishing up there in Connecticut, definitely.
Well, Housatonic River, big trout stream.
Bam, there it is. Thank you.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah. Great. I grew up on that river, so yeah, so wonderful.
I've launched out of Old Lyme before.
Sure.
Old Lyme Black Hall Outfitters out there. They helped me with my kayak a little bit, and I've gone out with them, and so caught a nice. What I catch? A nice flounder out there. I think it was. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I fish for everything. I love it.
Cool. That's great.
Yeah.
With all your free time.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not working the draft, so I'll just watch the draft tonight, and I just love watching, Graney do his thing, Lewis Riddick, and all those guys. And I mean, I even though I'm not in the NFL and I'm not working, I mean, I'm a fan of the NFL and seeing how these teams get better and seeing who the Patriots draft. I mean, how the top 3 picks go. Do people get quarterback like desperate and trade up for one of these kids that don't really deserve to be drafted so high? When is Aaron Rodgers going to join the Steelers? Something like that. There's always something. The NFL does such a great job. February is the combine. March is free agency. April's the draft. I mean, it's nonstop, and I love it. And that's why the NFL is so popular. And it's why I still get to talk about it on Sundays. It's just the best.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think we're all thrilled to have you still part of the NFL and the game. It's great to see you on a regular basis.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And especially being next to one of my teammates in Randy Moss. I mean, there's a lot of former Patriots that we were a very smart group in terms of Devin McCourty's now on TV, Rodney Harrison's still there. Myself, Ninkovich did it for a little while. McGinnis did it for a little while. Brady's into it now. I mean, there's so many players that were smart enough as players that can also intellectually communicate the game. It's something that's I'm very lucky to be able to do.
Absolutely. How is Randy Moss doing? I understand he was going through some struggles.
Yeah. Randy is a cancer survivor now, and he left our show mid-season, I think it was, to go through some chemotherapy and some treatments for his cancer, and he's doing better. He still has a little ways to go in terms of treatment. I'm always texting him and sending him fishing pictures to keep his spirits up, because I love the guy so much. We're all praying for him, and I think he's going to be okay. Hopefully, he was able to come back for the Super Bowl show, which was it was one of my favorite shows all time to have him there. So we're all praying for him.
You can tell him this little slice of New England loves him too, please.
Okay, I will definitely. Yeah, he's felt. He calls everybody his prayer warriors. So he appreciates all the support.
That's awesome.
Saw Rodney Harrison doing Sunday Night Football in Vegas, and when he was wrapping up, I yelled "Pats Nation." He came over and gave me a fist bump.
Yeah, cool. Rodney gets to be on the field every week, which is like so cool, because when you're out there on the field, you feel a lot of the energy of all the fans, and he does that every week with Jack Collinsworth. They're a great team, and that little section of NBC's pretty. That NBC show is well represented by the New England Patriots, right? I mean, all the generations of success is there, except for the first championship. Rodney wasn't there for the first one, but he was there for the second, and then Devin, he was there for the second and third, and then Devin was there for the next three. Yeah.
Well, I think we're at the top of the hour, and this has been just a highlight, I think, for everybody here. It's been great talking to you, Tedy.
Yeah, we're just talking football and
I love it.
And life. I mean, this is great. I've loved it, guys.
Good deal.
Even threw in some fishing and some pizza.
And some kayaking, and yeah, I love it. Maybe I'll say I mountain bike and hike and rent them a lot, so maybe I'll see you on your kayak at some point.
Okay, all right.
Good to see you.
Great to see you guys too, Todd.